And I am done with Legends and Lattes from Travis Baldree. This was a surprisingly good book. I give this book a 4 out of 5 stars. I truly thought that I was going to hate this book because, what this book is, it's like I've never read this kind of book before. I'm sure it's popular somewhere, but I've certainly never came across it. But a like fantasy, comfy, slice of life type of book. The cover is hilariously interesting of like two people just cooking. um, it's it's kind of billed as like a calm fantasy book, and that's certainly what we got. And I didn't think I'd like this because I'm a big fan of like huge, epic, dark fantasy. That's my favorite. I like a lot of different kinds, but that's that dark and gritty. The longer, the better. The more complicated, the better. The darker, the better. And this is like the opposite of that. This is a book about good people being nice to each other, and I couldn't put it down. I don't know why. The fantasy elements really played well into this book. I think if it didn't have the fantasy elements, I might not have liked it as much because it really had, without ruining everything, there's like a hook right at the beginning that the whole book is based around, that is very fantasy based, and I enjoyed it a lot. Just the fact that there were these kind of like mythical type characters throughout the book was interesting. It didn't feel dull at all, and you really just like wanted this character to succeed through the whole book. I think the characters were well written. You know, you it kind of dragged a little bit at the end of the book because it was like, again, I don't want to ruin everything, but it gets kind of predictable where things are going to go towards the end of the book. The kind of the big twist, if you want to say it in the book, you could kind of see it coming a while away and the resolution to it, but that didn't make it, much worse of a book. I don't know that I could ever give a book of this genre like a 5 out of 5 stars. They don't compete with those bigger books for me that are complicated, have a lot more diverse characters. But this was enjoyable. I'd really recommend this book to people if they're like, reading a bunch of big, thick fantasy books to like just use this as like a palate cleanser because it worked good for me. I kind of thought this book would. I don't know that this would like super appeal to people that are into this type of book without the fantasy elements because I bet there's a lot better written stories out there. But I think the person this is appealing to is the type of person who doesn't normally read this kind of book, but they are probably a fantasy fan. So it'll probably get, I think a lot of the reason it's gotten a lot of traction it has because it nicely blended those elements and is attracting a different kind of reader that normally wouldn't be into that kind of thing. So yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. Recommend this to pretty much anybody. I'm sure you'll enjoy it.